Hi, we are live. My name is Cristiano Galvao, and today we have another episode of our Sunday Lives. Today I have a very special guest from the United States, Dr. Isaac Gottlieb, and we are going to talk about his long journey in Excel, and then he will provide you a demonstration about time series in Excel. We see some comments here. Good morning, Ligia. Good morning, Basilio. Good morning, Hugo. And the next, please put your city and country in case it's your first time in the channel. Before we start officially, call your friends, your colleagues on the WhatsApp groups, and after a couple of seconds, I start officially with my guests. Call the friends by using the link of YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook. Please send on your WhatsApp groups now. Today we have a very special episode, and today is Teachers' Day or Professor Day in Brazil. So it's a very special date to bring my very special guest, who is an author and a very experienced instructor with a long career, especially at Columbia University in New York. But let me bring him here, and then later I check the other comments. Dr. Isaac Gottlieb, welcome to the channel.
Thank you. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. I have used Excel since 1998. The reason I started with Excel was that I was teaching all kinds of courses: operations, research, operations management, statistics, and each one of the courses had different software. And I realized that many people understand or have Excel, so I started to use Excel for all the different courses. And what happened in the year 1999, 2000, I was invited to Columbia and NYU, and I was teaching there for about 20 years, all the incoming MBA students how to use Excel for business applications. So I've been doing it for about 20, 25 years, and every year I had at least 4,000 or 5,000 students. So I think I had over 100,000 students taking the workshop. I published 4 different books on Excel. One of them is on the way, called Time Series Analysis. That's why we are doing what I'm doing here today, to show you how something very complicated can be presented in a very easy way and used. For some odd reason, most of the people who are using Excel are not familiar with the forecasting. And I think it's because they are intimidated or afraid how difficult it is. So I will start with a few simple examples how most people use forecasting in Excel. And then I'm going to complicate it a little bit. And then at the end, I'm going to show you what Microsoft developed in 2016. I helped some of their developers to do some of it. And you'll see how easy it is to forecast almost anything that you want in Excel. So here I have some data starting in March 2020. And what I did, I created a chart of the data. It's an XY or scatter chart. And what I want to show, how if you have to do some forecasting, you don't have to do anything else other than use the chart. So what you can do is right click on any point in the chart, use add trend line, and you'll see that Excel is trying to do a linear regression. And you can ask for the last two things here, which are going to tell you that this is the equation of the straight line for this line. It's a little bit reversed, but basically it says minus 98,616 plus 22.58x. And if you want to know how good is this line to forecast the future, R square is very high. R square is called the coefficient of determination. It's irrelevant. If it's close to 0, you can't use this data for forecasting. If it's close to 1, it's very good. So Excel has a few options. I'm just going to show a couple of them. You can also do the same thing. Instead of using linear as it comes automatically, you can try some of the others. For example, exponential. Exponential, it looks a little bit complicated, but it has a better R square, 0.9187. And you can try all the others. You can always see that Excel has a way of fitting a line to your data. This one is even better. But when you look at this equation and try to use it in real life, it does not work. It does not work because Excel is truncating some of the numbers. And yes, if you wanted to know if it behaves better or worse, you can try any of these things. But if you want to really use it, what you have to do is use the Excel functions. So I'll show two easy ways of using the same data and using the Excel values. So I'm going to go to a new sheet. I have the same exact data. And what I want to do is I want to forecast the next few months or quarters using the data. And I'm going to use two methods which are very similar to the line that we had. So if you use the trend, it's a straight line. And I'm not going to forecast only the future, which I can. I'm also going to forecast the past. In other words, I want to know whether my forecasting line is really fitting what I have there. So I'm going to select the area that I want to get an answer in, and I'm going to use the function you call trend. I can start by saying equal trend. And then for everybody to see what I'm doing, I'm going to look for the function. So the first thing it says, known y's. Oh, it's all the data that we know about. So I'm going to select all the known y's. These are the data values that I had for the past. And then it says for the same time, known x's. So select the x's for the same time. So it's in a way, it's selecting the x and the y, or the y and the x reversed. And this is going to be used to create the straight line regression line that I showed you before with the chart, but it's going to be more accurate. And then it says, focus for what new axis? Well, because I want to also forecast the past, meaning to make sure that the past is very similar to the future, I'm selecting all the data. That's the past and the new. And then I use Control Shift Enter because it's an array function now. And you notice how Excel created a straight line that is minimizing the distance from all these points on the chart. And if you wanted to forecast the future using the regression, then these are the values. And it's pretty accurate because you saw that R square before was 0.90. I can recalculate it again, but basically this is what it does. And you'll see later that the new feature of Excel from 2016, I call it relatively new, makes it much easier to do what I'm doing. But I want to show you first some of the things most people use. And if you work somewhere, if you have to show people what you're doing, this is basically what you do. So I'm going to do the second thing that represents the exponential, which is not a straight line. Very similar. I select all the cells that I want to get the answer in the same way. And this time I'm using the growth function. And to make it easy, again, I'm going to click on the FX. And it says known y's. Yes, this is all the data we had. Known x's, yes, these are all the x values that I had, the x-axis values. And again, I'm going to forecast for the same range of dates, including the past. So I'm going to select it. And I created already the chart from the range, including the empty cells, so you can see it right away. And I'm going to do the same thing, Control, Shift, Enter. And it didn't, maybe I didn't select it, so maybe I'll just copy and paste it into the range. So now the yellow line is the exponential growth function that if you detected that it behaves a certain way, this is what we are going to do. Anyhow, I just wanted to show the beginning what most people do, then I'm going to show something different. All these files are available. I think, Cristiano, you have it somewhere.
Oh yeah, I will send them the link, and I believed you closed Excel, so you will need to share again.
Yes, yes,
While
yes.
while you press again, I will send them the link you gave me. Okay. So it's present, then window and Excel.
So basically, when you have the files, you can try yourself to do exactly what I'm doing. Here is something that people use, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good, but it's a very easy technique to use. It's called the moving average. And I have some data here again. And what I want to do is show you how to use a 3-period moving average, a 4-period moving average, and a 5-period moving average. It's very simple. What you can say is equal average, and you just do the average of the last 3 periods. MA3 is moving average for 3 months. And if I double click or continue, you see that the moving average for this data, it's not so good, but it tries to uh, work together or show how the data looks from the past. And many people use a 4-period moving average, which is same way, average of 4 periods. And if you look at people or see what people do, they use a 3 months, 4 months, 5 months moving average. Is it good? It's your decision. In this case, it doesn't look so good, but I'm just showing you how it's done. Okay. Now it's 5 months. Sometimes the moving average works very well. Sometimes it doesn't, or many times it doesn't, you see here. But I just wanted to show you what is the moving average. And if people use the moving average, at least you know what they're doing. The other thing that people are using is called exponential smoothing. And exponential smoothing, what they're doing, I'll try to show you in a simple way, is they give some weight to the data and then they give 1 minus this weight to the forecast. I'll explain. For example, here alpha is 0.9. I'm going to say, first of all, for the first period that I forecast, I just say it's equal to the last period. That's it. For the rest of the months, you say equal this value times alpha, and I named it alpha so that I don't have to use absolute addressing, plus take last month or last year's or last period's value, I don't need it like that, value, times 1 minus alpha. Okay? And this is the exponential smoothing. It's not bad in this case. Okay? But if I'll use a different alpha, it would look a little bit different. Most of the sophisticated Excel models, I'll try 0.5, are using exponential smoothing, but it's much more complicated than that. So I showed you the moving average, the exponential smoothing, and then I'll go into some stuff in a minute that cannot use all these things, but then the whole purpose of this workshop is to show you how we can use Excel in an easy way to forecast almost anything.
Okay. I believe in business, many people are more familiar with moving average than exponential. Is that correct?
The problem is, I'll show you, the problem
Mm,
is that people don't know anything beyond moving average from two
yes.
reasons. Number one, they are intimidated from the statistics. Let me just share it with you. Uh, share it with you. Almost. So the problem is that most people are afraid of statistics, and they call it sadistics. And what happens is, if you understand what I'm doing, you'll see that there is life beyond the moving average and exponential smoothing. Exponential smoothing is very difficult to perform, but with what I'm going to show you soon, you'll see that it's so easy and you don't have to know anything other than a couple of statistics terms that I'll explain. I want to show one more thing. I have some data of the Apple stock over a period of time, and I want to show you how people are using a different moving average. I know Cristiano, you said everybody is using moving average. So one moving average, which we did before, is 3 months or 3 years or 3 periods moving average. I'm just going to do it again. And what I want to do is I want to get the average of the last 3 periods, or days in this case. Okay? And if I create it, you see that the moving average is pretty close to the original data, and I can somehow use it in the future if I wanted to. Okay? Now, if you want to be a little bit more sophisticated, you can use linear weight moving average. What do I mean by linear weight moving average? If you look at these 3 numbers, to the value of 3 months ago, I'm just going to give it a weight of 1. And from 2 months ago, or 2 days ago, or 2 periods ago, I'm going to give it a weight of 2. And if you want to go to last period, I'm going to give it a weight of 3. So the closer to the day of to date you are, the higher of the weight it is. So basically, I'm going to say, give me 1 times this, plus 2 times this, plus 3 times this, and the sum is 6, as you see, and divided by 6. I'll show you how it works. I'm going to say equal. This time I'm using sum product. This is a more sophisticated moving average. And you say, give me these values times, as I said, 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to use absolute addressing. And divided by 6, because 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals 6. Okay? And this is a linear weighted moving average where you give much more weight to the last months than the months before, and so on. And how good is it? It's almost identical to the regular moving average. So in this case, either one is the same, but you can experiment and see, and then you can move it into the future. So basically, the moving average is pretty good, but I'll show you a couple of times where you cannot really apply it all together. Okay,
Mhm.
so we know the moving average, exponential smoothing. I don't think anybody wants to use manually. And I've been doing these things for many years. Stay away from using exponential smoothing because you can always make a mistake. At least I make a mistake. So now I'm going to move to something else. Hold on. I have so many examples, but let me see if this is a good example. Now, it's something very similar. So I'm going to skip part 4. I'm just going to go to part 5, which is Apple revenue. And I'm going to share it with you in a second. I'm almost there.
Great.
Okay. I have never used this software before. So now I have part 5, which is Apple revenue from December 2010 through sometimes in 23. And if I'm going to use any of the stuff that I showed you before, I'm going to get some kind of a straight line or exponential line or moving line, but it's not going to predict or forecast the way I want it to be very accurate. And this is, from some odd reason, so many people use Excel and nobody ever uses this method. So I'm going to show you, this is the data and I created a chart. And you see that the revenue is going up and down, up and down. So instead of using moving average, exponential smoothing, or even regression that I know how to do, what you want to do is you want to go to the new feature of Excel called Data Forecast Sheet. So just click on it and you see that Excel has detected the fact that it's cyclical, going up and down. Not only that it's cyclical, you see already the orange forecast on the right. It also has plus minus lines, which is the upper and lower confidence levels. I'll explain. So if you go to the options, you see how Excel detected automatically that it has 4 cycles. Okay, you can set it manually, but Excel detected. And also it tells you where it starts and when it finishes. You can add if you want a few more months or a few more years. And it gives you a confidence level of 95%. What does it mean? Using this confidence level of 95%, using 1.96 standard deviations to the top, to up and down, or in simple words, if you use this forecast, you will be correct 95% of the time. If you want to be more accurate, you can move it up and then the range is higher to 99%. Or if you want to be less, you can go to 90%. But not most of the people, I would say 95% of the people, use a confidence interval of 95%. And then what Excel is going to do is going to create you a forecast for the next few months that we wanted to, plus minus the confidence interval so that you can, I'll show you how it does, create. And you see, I can use it and it has the upper confidence level and the lower confidence level. So if you tell your boss that, or your board of directors, that this is going to be the forecast, but the worst it could be is 68 and the best is going to be 104. Or if you go down here, 1.96 standard deviations brings you up and down a little bit more. So how do I feel comfortable using this forecast? I mean, it looks so nice and it looks like it's working for the future. And what I usually do, and I don't see too many people using it, is called hint casting. Hint casting is, let me see if I use the same function that I just came up with to forecast the past. Would I be close to that? So I'm going to take the forecast, which is, if you look at this function, it's the forecast ETS, which is using exponential smoothing, and if you look at it and you try to do it mathematically, you're going to go crazy. So it's so simple to use this data sheet. I copy this forecast, I put it here, and I'm going to drag it back to see if I had to forecast the past, is it good? And you see that this is accurate for both the future and the past, and I feel very comfortable using this forecast. Not only that it gives me the future plus minus 1.96 standard deviations or a 95% confidence level, it also, going back, shows you that if I use that function, I was not off. So you see, and you see how simple it is. I'm going to show you 2 or 3 more examples. And it doesn't make any difference if it's monthly, quarterly, daily, weekly. This this forecast sheet from Excel is doing a great job. And from some odd reason, I don't know of too many people who even try to use it. And I'll show you 2 more examples. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming.
All right.
So
I see
this
here.
is data. You see where the source is. This is data of Coca-Cola sales from sometimes in 2011 quarterly all the way to 2022. And you see that the data behaves a certain way. And what I want to do, of course, it's not a straight line. What I want to do is I want to use the same idea to, I just don't need it anymore. I want to use the same idea to forecast using a Coca-Cola sales. So I'm going to do the same thing. You'll see that if I go to data, you don't have to select it. Excel is going to select it for you. Forecast sheet. And you see that it somehow detected how the data is behaving. I'm going to go to the options and show you that it does 4 quarters automatically. It detected it. 95% confidence interval. And when you forecast, it looks pretty good. The reason I say it looks pretty good is because if you look at the chart at the moment, then it looks okay. It looks like it's going to behave like this in the future. But since I don't trust Microsoft, I said, let me try if this forecast is good. I mean, you should not trust any method unless you do what I'm doing, is go backward and see whether it worked in the past. So if I take the same forecast, you see how simple it is to create a forecast, just 2 clicks, and paste it here and drag it back for the past. I would not use it to forecast. I mean, you can use it to forecast, but it's plus minus 95% confidence interval. But you see, somehow it did not detect the way the data behaved. Yes, you would use it for forecast. It's better than moving average or exponential smoothing or anything else you want, but it does not work. And I'll show you a different way to solve this problem. Okay, but I wanted to show you that it's very simple to create a forecast for almost anything if you use the data forecast sheet of Excel, and just be careful from time to time, check to see whether it works. So I'm going to show you One more example, and then I'll go to this example with the Coca-Cola and show you how we used to do it in the past, because it does not always work. So this is the last example. I'm just going to stop sharing, and I'm going to share with you one more. I have hundreds of examples, and the reason I have all these examples many times is because, let me just share it with you. Is because I used to teach an executive MBA class in the United States, in Beijing, Shanghai, Singapore. So I had a student who brought some data of sales or manufacturing or production of beer in Singapore. And they wanted to use regression at the time to forecast, which is very painful. But if I look at this data and I just want to make a chart, you immediately see that the data is moving up and down. I'm not sure if it's daily, monthly, quarterly, and I can do it and play with it, but look how simple it would be if we use what I showed you as the data sheet, which you go to data, forecast sheet, and you see how it detects what is going on. I can tell you that doing it manually is impossible. I mean, I know how to do it, but if you have to do it manually, it's really a big project. And go to the options and see that it detected that it's 12 different months every year. So it's not quarterly, it's really monthly, and it detected it. And I can change the confidence interval to be more or less than 95%, just to show you. Okay, but doesn't make too much of a difference because I think the standard deviation is pretty low. So if I forecast, and this is taking so many years of data, let me move it. And by the way, you can select for more periods than I selected to go forward. You can go 3, 4, 5, 7 years, 10 years, whatever you want. If it's accurate, this, I wanted to know if it's accurate, so I did the same thing, which is the word hint casting, meaning forecast the past. So I will do the same thing, take the forecast function that Excel created for me. If you want to try and see this function, forecast ETS, it's very painful. I know how to use it, but even if you have people who are pretty sophisticated in Excel, it's very difficult to explain how it works. So I'm just going to copy this function, which was created by Excel for me. I'm going to paste it here, and I'm going to drag it back to see if it forecasts well for me the past. Then I'm very confident about the future. So a picture is worth 1,000 words. You see, this is such an easy tool to apply, and you can always prove to everybody that the tool works. And from some odd reason, I don't know of too many people who use the forecast sheet feature. So what I wanted to show you. Okay, so you saw what I'm doing, and I'm sure that everybody can do it by now because I did it a few times. All you have to do is click on a cell. I'll show it to you again. Click on a cell, any cell in the range, and go to data, forecast sheet, and Excel is going to do the rest of it. You can check the options. So you saw what I did. What I want to show you, I'm going to stop sharing. What happens with the Coca-Cola sales that did not work? You can always send me emails later. Oh, no, I made a mistake. I'm opening the wrong one. Hold on. I'm almost there.
Can I put your email address on the screen so
Yes,
that
yes,
they...
yes. The easiest thing is Isaac Gottlieb at Gmail. The
Great.
easiest
Let me...
thing is I. So let me just share it with you, and then I'll go slowly over it.
Mhm. So all these features are even more powerful if people really know the background, all the statistics involved. But even business people without this knowledge can use by simply entering data
Yes,
forecast sheet.
yes, yes, yes. I think the forecast sheet. I used to be an MVP of Microsoft 2014 to 2016, and I met a few of the Excel developers back in 2014, 15, and they worked with me to do some of the stuff. I gave them many of the ideas, and then I discovered that they developed such a nice feature, and nobody's using it. Nobody. I don't know why. It's so simple. You don't have to know anything. Just click, and if you know what the confidence level is, most people should know. You can read somewhere, and use to forecast. Now, I went back to the same Coca-Cola sales that you saw when I used the forecast sheet did not work. And I'm going to show you something that we used to use before, or I used to use before, to forecast the data when you don't have something that you can really rely on, like the data forecast sheet. So now I have the same data. I put here the quarters and the years. And actually, I'm going to look at the data from the sales. And what I did there is I added Q2, Q3, Q4, meaning first quarter is not there, second quarter, three quarters, third quarter, fourth quarter. So if it's fourth quarter like here, you have a 1. If it's second quarter like here, you have a 1. I use the function to make it using this. So if you notice, it says fourth quarter, second, third, fourth quarter. 0 is no quarter. 1, 2, 3. So I have second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, and what I'm going to use is regression. Also, I used period 1, 2, 3, all the way to 47, and I'm going to use multi-regression to show you how I can solve the same problem, but then you'll see how complicated it is compared to what we did with the data sheet. Anybody who knows zero or just a little bit of statistics can use the data sheet. Here is, I'm trying to forecast the sales of Coca-Cola based on the information I have about quarters and the period. So I'm going to use something called multi-regression, and I'm going to go to data analysis, regression. This is more complicated, but if anybody knows anything about regression, they can apply it right away. I'm going to say okay, and it's going to ask me, what are you forecasting with? All your
Uh,
Y values. All
we
your Y
we
values. Say,
we
you don't see?
cannot see. Yeah, only the main Excel screen is being shared.
Okay, I'll do it again. Hold on.
Yes, I believe we for these specifically, we should share all the windows.
Hold on, I'm going to find it.
Yes, but just a small recap. I see quarter 2, 3, and 4. Why not quarter 1? And
Why not
what is the
quarter one?
meaning?
Okay,
Yes.
automatically, it's going to focus quarter one, and then it's going to do for focus two more or focus. I mean, quarter two more or less quarter compared to quarter one.
Mm,
Maybe I'll do it a different way. If I had students and I wanted to, or people coming to work, and I wanted to know what is their salary based on their education. So I'll say high school, I'm not going to put anything, and then I'm going to say college 1, uh, MBA 2, PhD 3. So it's going to do it above or below the one that I ignored, which is the high school. But here I'm ignoring quarter 1. And I'll show you that if I calculate without quarter 1, anytime that I get the regression for for nothing, it's going to be for quarter one. And then it's going to add or subtract for quarters 3, 2, 3, and 4. I'll explain. I'll show. Do you see my screen now?
Yes, the main Excel.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to see, you see I have here the sales, quarter 2, one, meaning for quarter 2, I have a 1 here, I have a 1 here, I have a 1 here for quarter 2. Then I have for quarter 3. It just calculates. I'm using the function. Okay. So I can do it manually also. 1, 1, 1, 1 for quarter 4. For quarter 3, I can do 1, 1, 1. I use the function, but it's the same. So what I want Excel to do is do a regression and give me the data, and I'm going to show you how it looks. It looks like this. You see it's cyclical, but it's not 100% cyclical. Some years it has some problems. So I am going to use the regression. I'm going to do it a couple of times if you want. Data analysis, regression. You can always install it. If you don't have the data analysis, you can just go to File, Options, Add-ins. And I have the data analysis toolpack here selected, and then it says OK. So I'm going to use the data analysis regression. And it's very simple if you do it a few times. First of all, it says, what is the past data? The billions of dollars for revenues. And then what are you trying to forecast it with? These are the X values. Instead of one X value that we had until now, which was usually the date, I'm going to select the 4 variables. Okay? And I'm going to say it has labels, meaning we named it in the beginning here. Let me just try to move up. Let me try to move up so we can see it. You see, I put the word labels to indicate that we have labels here. From some odd reason, it forgot what I did. So I'm going to select the Y values. I'm going to select the 4 variables that we are going to forecast with. And I want it in a different sheet that goes automatically. And I'm going to use the word residuals. What is residuals? It basically uses the function of the regression so that I don't have to do it. I'm going to explain in a second, but let me first get the answer. So I'm using the Y values, the X values. When I say OK, I get the regression. If you're not familiar with the regression, basically it says to any month, use 3.44 plus 1.41 Q2 if it's a 0 or 1, and 0.88 for Q3 if it's 0 or 1, and 0.27 if it's 0 or 1. And every month we go up by 0.1, every quarter we go up by 0.697. That's the equation of the multi-regression. And it also gives me the residuals here, which means how different is it from the original. Now, here it also gives me R square, which I said if it's equal to close to 1, it's very good. So we have an R square of 0.89. It's very rare in real life that you get such a high R square. But is my forecast good? I always want to ask myself. So I'm going to take the residuals or the calculated values. I can do it myself, meaning I can calculate these values by going 3.44 plus 1.4 times Q2 plus 0.8 times Q3 and so on and so forth and get it. But I just had Excel calculated. So I go to the original data and I paste it here. If I didn't know what is going on and I had to calculate it for the first period that I have here, would be 3.88. Is it accurate? I'm going to tell you if it is. I'm going to take the data, the answers, as I calculated, copy, go to the chart, and paste. So I think it's pretty accurate, and I can use this to forecast the future. And this is a rare case where the sales using the data sheet are not accurate. That's why I use regression. But I would not recommend to anybody to use it. Just use the simple uh, data sheet, and things are going to work. Let me go back to that. It's much easier to use the data sheet, meaning the
Mhm.
forecast sheet. Okay, I think I covered basically what I wanted. Anybody has any questions?
Actually, I would like to show my screen here because
Yes.
at one point we couldn't see the data analysis tool, but I will share my screen here. It's the same downloaded file,
Yeah,
and
this is the one. This is the one that I did not use the data sheet on. That's the one I used the
yes,
regression.
the regression from here, data
Yes.
analysis,
Yeah.
correct?
Go ahead. Try.
Yes, and then this is the feature here, and then you are picking regression,
Correct.
correct?
Yes.
Regression, and then inside we
The
have
first one I
the
select. Here I
input,
select the item, the billions, from the
the
billions.
billions,
Yes.
right? So I'm going to do here, since from the word billions, because I remember that you pressed labels.
Yeah, so the reason I use labels is because I want the Excel to tell me later the names of the variables. Yes. Click there on the
Great.
next one. Here.
Then the X, let's jump to the top.
Yeah.
Oh, let me do it again because I was using the zoom, and then I'm going to press again here. All
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
four
And then don't forget
items.
to ask for residuals.
Residuals. Okay, so this is what people will see in their screen because they couldn't see
Ah,
before.
okay. Okay.
But we could listen, and then I repeated from my side. I believe most of the people would be able to repeat as well. But just in case, it's always good to show the picture because we couldn't see by the screen sharing. So you
Okay.
have the billions here, the four variables
Yes.
below,
Yes.
labels, residuals, and this one here, the professor didn't change.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, and then we have the screen and all the rest of the
Yes.
explanation that people
You know,
can replay.
if you look at B17, B17, B18, B17, B17, go up.
Oh,
B
17. Okay, 17.
See, B17, 18, 19, and 20 is actually the multi-regression, which is going to be Y forecast equals 3.44 plus 1.4 times Q2 plus 0.8 times Q3 plus 0.27 Q4 and 0.16 times the period. And this will be able to forecast the future.
Mm. And then you are using the
I didn't
analysis
use it. I mean,
here.
I could have used it, but I asked for the residuals. So when you look at B27, B27,
Mhm.
select no, just B1027, B27, and
B27.
go all the select all the way to the bottom, copy,
Mhm.
go to the data modified, this one, and click next here, Control V. Now copy it, just copy, and
Again.
go to this chart one, copy, go to chart one, Control V, and it shows
Great
you
tip. Great tip. Yes, it changed. We pressed Control V and the data is here.
the chart was from that same sheet, and then you edit another column. Yeah. So basically, I do not suggest for anybody to attempt to use the regression unless they are really familiar with statistics. But the data sheet, the forecast sheet, I'm surprised that you can ask anybody who's listening, have they used the forecast sheet? And the answer is probably no. I mean,
Yeah,
you yourself have used the Excel so many times and you never used the forecast sheet.
yeah, many people never used this tool before. I used a few times, but it's not something that I do every day. Most of the time I used was to teach other people. But yes, I've seen just a few business people using this, and for sales this is great. All
And
kinds of trends that we want to analyze, this is really great. And we
well,
see some comments here.
the reason is that they don't have to be involved in the statistics.
Hmm. Yes, there are so many features that many people are not aware. Excel is a universe that we should explore more, for
I mean,
sure.
you can ask people how many people use the solver.
Yeah. Solver is a little more popular than forecast sheet, but even Solver, not many people use. Even Go Seek, that is much simple than Solver.
You know, and people use the goal seek and they also use the data table next to it, right? Are you familiar with the
Yes,
data table?
data table.
So
Yes,
the
yes.
data table has row input and column input. So it's a sensitivity analysis of two variables, right? But what if you have
Hmm.
three variables, four variables, five variables? Maybe it's a subject for some other future workshop if we want to have regression, to have sensitivity analysis with more than two variables.
Hmm. Yeah, I've seen so many solutions now that I studied an MBA course on data analysis. Most of the professors used R language, some used Python, but the couples ones that used Excel, they showed great things in, with the addings, the linear regression, the other kinds of regression. It's
I'll
a
tell you
full
something.
universe.
I was teaching in about 10 different universities how to
Wow.
use Excel. And even, I don't want to mention names of universities, even in the
Mhm.
most sophisticated universities, 99% of the professors don't know anything about Excel.
Okay, now I understand why you don't want to mention the names.
It's like swimming without water in the pool. You teach them all kinds of
Uh,
things without Excel. It's like swimming without water in the pool. But
great.
anyhow, many people are very familiar with what I'm doing, and
Mhm.
if you have any questions, you can always send me an email. No problem.
Yes. Let me show them your LinkedIn in a very compact way because uh, LinkedIn always shows us personal stuff. So let me show just the short form of LinkedIn. This is Dr. Isaac Gottlieb. You can find him on LinkedIn. You'll find more about his story here, his background. He was part of the MVP program as well, and all the summary of his story is found here. I really
I
recommend to follow him.
I don't know. I don't know who recommended me for the MVP because I never applied for. Uh, so I was there for about 3 years. Yeah.
Yes, great. And we are almost in the end, 1 hour of session almost. And well, people are very grateful here to see all this advice and tutorial. This is great. Um I'm also recommending them to follow you on LinkedIn, and you are writing your next book, right?
I'm almost finished with a book called uh, Data Time Data Analysis using Excel.
Great. So people watch his work because there will be a brand new book coming very soon as he finished. Uh, many tricks of here you will find in a deeper way of explanation on that book. So that's why I'm insisting to talk about this book, because for those who are interested in this topic, this set of examples, uh, by reading the book, you study in a very step by step method so that you can understand all details. People here are very amazed. Lija said, great session. Jane as well. This was really great. Thank you for coming. I hope to see you here on the next sessions as well. Hugo has.
What my advice is, try to apply it right away. If you take the Excel files and apply it yourself like right away, then you can use it all the time.
Yes, exactly. And let me put again on the screen the link that is right here. Here is the link. People can pause and write as it's shown on the screen, or get from the comments. There is one of the comments with the link to copy and paste, but just in case people don't find the link on the comments, they can pause and copy, write down, and you find the set of files as I did here. I did from the same way, and I could repeat the steps. Really great, really great. Hugo has a comment here. Some people want to build Excel, we but more we dive in data analytics, more we learn. Yes, yes, yes. There is so many stuff to learn. Yes, and Excel robot. Oh, my friend, let's talk. Excel should be required learning from early age. Yes, yes. Not only on the universities, but also mid school, high school. Excel could be at schools as well. Yes.
I taught my grandchildren Excel when they when they were 10, 11. So all of them are really enjoying it.
Yes, I remember that here we had a project on Microsoft Reactor São Paulo, a space that is also in New York, some major cities. We had a group of very young students, and we used some games inside Excel to motivate them. And then after the games, quizzes and other stuff, we moved to some similar, near business level problems, so that they could see the first challenges they would face when jumping into the market the first time, the first job. And they loved it. Was great. But we must adapt the language, of course, because the audience is different. But yes, I also agree, Excel should be at school as well, not only universities. Well, one more comment here. Dot is saying, I'm good in Excel functions, but I need to start learning the data analysis from the basics. Yes, the add-in that Dr. Isaac showed here is the first step. You must install the data analysis tools, and then you will see lots of items inside. And also check the books he already have, and the new one that he will release very soon. I really recommend. Well, this is the end 1 hour, and I really want to thank you for accepting the invitation, Dr. Gottlieb. It was a pleasure to have you here. People are really amazed because many of them they never saw anything similar, and this is really valuable to see here. People asked about recording. Yes, it will be recorded on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. You can replay, pause, repeat the exercises, and then later you can see the book. You buy the book, and then you will learn more. Yes, yes. Thank you. You are now in Florida, right, Dr. Isaac?
Isaac, yeah.
Many years in New York, then now enjoying
Only
Florida.
we lived in one house 44 years, and now we moved to Florida.
Yes, yes. Good, really good. I hope to see you in person in the US as soon I am able to visit the country again. And then it was a great session. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Take care.
Thank you. Bye bye. Have a good day, everyone. Bye bye.